Welcome. If you're studying for your KCSE English Paper 3, then you are in exactly the right place. We are about to dive deep into the key themes of Paul B. Vitta's really powerful novel, Fathers of Nations.
Okay, first things first, it's absolutely crucial to understand that this book is a satire. Now, what does that mean? It means it uses humor, irony, and even ridicule to criticize the failures of modern African leadership. Honestly, this one idea is the key to unlocking all the major themes we're going to talk about.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll look at these 6 key sections, which should give you a really clear structure that you can use for your own essays.
All right, let's start with the title itself. Why? Because its irony is a central theme. And you know, it's a fantastic starting point for any essay you might write.
Think about it. The title, Fathers of Nations, creates this expectation, right? You think of guidance, protection, wisdom, all the good stuff. But what does the novel actually show us? A grim reality of corruption, inefficiency, greed, just complete misgovernance. That massive gap between the promise and the reality is what makes the title so deeply satirical.
Now, let's see how this irony builds into what is really the novel's core theme, the crisis of leadership.
The book is basically arguing that so many of the continent's problems come from this single crisis. We've got heads of state who are totally directionless. You see it in meetings, like that summit in Banjul, that just end in total confusion and disarray. Nothing gets done.
Pastor Chiamaka's story is such a brilliant illustration of this. He speaks out, he criticizes the government for just writing memos instead of taking real action, and what happens? He gets arrested and banned from preaching. It's a perfect example of how dissent is just completely silenced.
So when you have this kind of leadership failure, it creates an environment where something else thrives: betrayal. And we see it not just on a national level, but on a really personal one too.
Now here's a key point you'll want to remember for your essay. In this book, betrayal often comes from, quote, people we are close to, and the story explores this incredibly painful idea through so many of its characters.
I mean, just look at Comrade Malusi. This is a guy who fought for his country's freedom right alongside its future leader. He should be a hero, right? But instead, he's betrayed. The new leader turns on him and his people. It's just a gut-wrenching example of political betrayal.
And it's not just political. On a deeply personal level, we have Professor Kimani. He suffers this awful betrayal from a trusted colleague, a man who uses his political power and wealth to just take his wife. It shows how political corruption can poison everything, even our closest relationships.
So here's the crucial point. These big, high-level themes of poor leadership and betrayal, they aren't just abstract ideas. They have devastating, real-world consequences, which we see in the theme of suffering and loss.
And what's so powerful here is how clearly the book connects political failure to personal tragedy. Look at this. Each protagonist's suffering, every single one, is a direct result of the corrupt and inefficient systems they're forced to live under.
Underneath so much of the suffering is another pervasive theme, and that's the scourge of poverty and economic inequality.
The book paints this really grim picture where leaders are just enriching themselves while the rest of society, including its most educated people, are left to struggle. It's a total failure to create real opportunity.
And get this, an MP in Kenya can earn 100 times more than a professor. 100 times. This isn't just a number. The book calls it a legislative coup. That's how systemic the problem is, and it has these profound effects on the characters' lives.
And this brings it all full circle, doesn't it? It connects that huge theme of poverty right back to Professor Kimani's personal story. His lack of wealth is literally the catalyst for his family's destruction.
Okay, so we've gone through all these interconnected themes. The big question is, how do you take all of this and turn it into a high-scoring KCSE essay? Let's put it all together.
Here's a simple, really effective 3-step structure for your essay. Start with the satire of the title. Then, connect the big political themes to the small personal themes. And finally, back it all up with specific character examples. If you can show how the big political ideas cause the personal tragedies, you'll be showing a really deep understanding of the novel.
And as you prepare for your exam, I'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. The novel is obviously a powerful critique, but it also forces us to ask, what does good leadership actually look like? That's a great question to keep in mind. Good luck with your studies.